Hey everybody. So yesterday I got this where you could uh, edit and add things in here. As you can see, there's already a mesh in there. So like if I reload this and I hit add light, so that's cool. Now, see, one thing I totally forgot to commit my changes that I made yesterday. So I have a mix of yesterday's changes that was in yesterday's video and today's changes. Fortunately, I think there's only one file that there's overlap. So basically, I'm going to be ignoring the HTML file because that's just, I didn't make any changes in that file today, or the CSS file. That's all in yesterday's video. And then today, um, I did have some overlap in this light manager. And then the changes that I made in the service are completely today's changes, and the changes that are in this mesh manager are completely today's. So the changes I made in the mesh manager were just for are just is just temporary code just for while I'm coding for my convenience. Basically, on init, I bring in this init. I add this init handler lifecycle hook, and then I have it create a new mesh, and then oh, I also updated the mesh to return an interface, which doesn't affect any of the existing code. But over here, I get my mesh item. I make some modifications. I create an exposition. I add an exposition. I set it to red, and I make it a Fong, and then Fong material type, and then I update it. The good news on this is that so I had to do it this way. I had to do it inside the mesh manager because of the dictionary. There's a mesh dictionary, and that has to be updated. And it does inform me a little bit because probably the very last piece of this proof of concept that I'm working on will be to be able to export and import uh, the entire scenes so that I can save them and then update them for, between sessions, and possibly save them to local as well, to the local drive. But um, the so now I know that I'm going to have to do it within the component, which is weird. It's kind of strange in a from an architectural perspective because, like imports will have to run through the components. But I think that's a really good thing, even though I've never really seen it done that way anywhere before. Because everywhere I've ever seen it done, every time you make any kind of changes, then you have to go switch back around, go to the um, go to the importer and make the same some sort of duplicate change or whatever for that as well. They kind of have it in two different streams, and I would rather it be in one stream. Um, but anyways, that's not what we're here to talk about. I'm here to talk about lights. So let me reload this. So as you can see, you cannot see the Fong material that was created, and that's because there's no light, and Fong requires light. Um, and so what I'll do is, okay, so let me go into this light manager. So there is code that was changed before just for creating the table. Oh, let me get past that. Um, and so over here, basically for the form that gets created, so I create a form and I assign it to the light item. So the light item interface has a form attribute, and I assign this new form, and it's optional. I assign this new form to it, and I give it the right value. So when you hit add light, it auto populates because I did make some changes in the HTML. Now that I think about it, it each one of these is its own little form. That's the light form, and it is attached to the control name. So the exposition automatically gets put in there, and then the changes are subscribed to in here, and that is this form subscription. So it gets created. The default values, which were 0, 0, 0, and 1, get automatically put in there. Um, and then the changes are subscribed to. And then anytime you make a change, uh, basically it makes sure that their values, it makes sure that they're, actual numbers, and if it is an actual number, then it sets the value, and once all the values are set, it updates the light, um, which is more like, which is how we eventually settled on in the material manager. And so now, and I said, oh yeah, I think I already did that. So let me go to that. So in 3JS, we have our update light, which takes a light interface, and this is very modeled after the way we do meshes. Um, so we find our light in the heavy lights list. So this is a list lights that are actually 3JS lights, which are very, very complex. This light item is light. It doesn't have very much uh, information about it, just the minimum so that we can render the tables and do things like that. So we find the heavy one, and then we say, if we found one, set the X position, Y position, and name. So now what we have the capability of doing is, like, if I send this to 1, you see it's gone, and that's because the light's inside the box, so the point light can't be seen anymore. Um, and then if we change the Y position to 1, we still can't. Oh yeah, we can just barely see the top of it because it's just sitting right on top of the box. And then if we change the Z position to 1, then we can see it. Let me change this spec to 0. We can see it if you can imagine the light is just over the top of it and just in front of it. And so then if we change this to 0, the light's directly in front of it, and you can actually kind of see the circle of the light on there. And then, like, if we move the Z position out a little farther, now it's not as dim. It's not as heavy as it was. It's not as bright as it was. And I haven't tried like a decimal point. Yeah, so 1.5. But then, like, if we were to make it point or 5, you can barely see it because it's what, if we do it 0.5, the box is actually 1 by 1 by 1, so the light's sitting inside the box. And then 1 is like it's sitting right on the box. And then 1.1, it's moved out a little bit from the box. And you notice, like, if we make it a little smaller, then when the box is straight on, it gets, the circle that you can see from the light reflecting on it, it gets smaller. So, 1.1, you can really see it. 1.0, you can see it a lot brighter. And then if we add a second light, now there's another light to the left of it, and we could say put that up 1 and over 1, or yeah, up 1 and over 1. See, now we have 2 lights. We have one that's sitting on top of it and one that's sitting in front of it. And that's about it. This is basically using reactive forms to update the lights. You subscribe to changes in the reactive forms, and then we have a method that takes that light item, finds the heavy light that's in the scene, and then updates its X, Y, Z position. Next time, I think I'm going, and actually we have name working, but we can't really. So this would be like front, and then this would be like top, and then like we could have so what I'm hoping for next time is to add a filter over here, so that if I have like 5, let's say I had 3 meshes, and then I had 3 lights sitting in 3 sitting in front and 3 sitting on top, I could be like front, front, right, and then this would be like, let's say the second one it could be front, middle, and then I could have a third one that's front, left, and then I could have top, right, top, left, top, middle, and then when I want to make adjustments to like all the ones that are front, let's say I want them all to come out, I could just filter on front, and I only see the 3 front ones. It'll be a lot easier. If I only want to mess with all the top ones, or if I want to mess with all the ones on the right side, it'll just make it a little bit easier for me to organize these things. But anyways, finally did one that's the right amount of time. I started on time, everything. So that's awesome, Blossom. And happy coding. Bye.